Great, we're going to get started here with our community meeting for the Coyote Creek Flood Management Adventures Project. I'd like to welcome the numerous people on Zoom to the Golden Wheel Mobile Home Park community room. With our crowd here, you're able to watch us from your home, but you don't have pizza or cookies like we have here. My name is Mike Potter, and I'm in the Office of Communications here at Valley Water, and I'll be your MC today. We appreciate, we also have interpreters here for anyone that would like that assistance in Spanish and Vietnamese. For those of you on Zoom, you are working on your questions for this meeting. We'll be happy to take those. Please put them in the Q&A button, not the chat. That way we'll be able to respond to them directly. Now I'd like to welcome to the microphone our director for this area, Richard Santos, who has served this community as an elected representative at Valley Water for many years, and prior to that served as a firefighter with the city of San Jose. Please welcome Director Richard Santos.
Y'all hear me okay? Yeah, thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. Anyway, I'm here to Richard Santos from Santa Fe Valley Water District. And it's a privilege to be here. This is my district, and give you a little background. First of all, I'm going to take the time to thank all of our staff for a hell of a job preparing all this. It takes a lot of work, and they work long hours, and I appreciate it very much. All of you who take the time to come out and hear about this information about flood control and protection, appreciate that. To the virtual people out there, thanks for doing. Oh, Mom! I mean, City of Saturday staff, thanks for attending. I'm sure Mike will mention during it later. It was very signal and helpful. This is the Coyote Flood Project. It's from, looks like reached from 4 to 8. We've had numerous meetings here before. A little background. I was born and raised in Alviso. I'm also I know 3 times the floods. I know more about floods than most people will ever know. I'm also talking now with the fire department, the fire captain, to evacuate the street of Alviso. We're over here on 10th Street. I evacuated this place numerous times. But this is good news to me for everybody here to provide you with the best flood protection possible. It's a heck of a challenge. It's tough times and doing funding. We got the money together and we're all going to work together. Water conservation, we're still at it. You folks and residents have done a great job, good savings. There's some items here. Please take some home. And water conservation is the way of life. I can go on and on and on. It's dinner time, pizza's here. So it's your time to listen to our staff and ask questions and provide the flood protection and all the challenges that we'll be facing. But I can tell you this, unlike the post office, we deliver on Sunday. You don't have to worry about it. And with that, please ask all the questions, be educated. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Santos, for all you do for this community and for Valley Water. During past meetings, many of you have asked that we start construction on this project as soon as possible. And we've heard that, and this may be the last time we get together like this, because the work on this project is going to begin, and the staff that are going to make that happen are here. We've had a great partnership with the City of San Jose. You will have noticed that the staging area at the port is now able to be used as a construction staging zone. And so a number of the residents that were living there, the unhoused, have been provided an opportunity to get housing through the City of San Jose and that partnership. And we'll be happy to refer and answer some of those questions as well. But this is about a flood control project. So Caitlin McAlpine and Madhu will be able to answer those questions about the technical aspects to this segment of the parking. But now I'd like to bring up the program manager, Caitlin, to give us a presentation about the project.
Hi everyone, I'm Caitlin McAlpine. I'm the project manager for the Coyote Creek Flood Management Project. Thanks again, Mike and Director Santos. So welcome.
Speaking to the practice, folks on Zoom that listen.
How's it? Better? All right, great. So this is the Coyote Creek Flood Management Measures project pre-construction update meeting. So here's a brief kind of agenda of what I'll be going over this evening. So first, I'll touch on the project description and background, and then touch on what to expect during construction. And then communication and how to reach us during construction. So a little bit on the project background. The Coyote Creek Flood Management Measures project will be constructing flood walls along approximately 4 miles of Coyote Creek from Old Oakland Road to Highway 280, simple say. Then the primary objective when combined with the Coyote Creek Flood Protection Project is to help protect against floods similar to the level that occurred in February of 2017. And so, as I mentioned, there are 2 projects that help us reach our objective. And so the Coyote Creek Flood Management Measures project was expedited and separated from the Flood Protection Project due to the work that's happening at Anderson Dam. And in February of 2020, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, or FERC, issued us an order to implement risk reduction measures at Anderson Dam. And so in response to that order, Valley Water created this FERC Order Compliance Project, or FOCP. And it's kind of an umbrella project for a number of projects, including the Anderson Dam Tunnel Project and the Coyote Creek Flood Management Measures Project. And there's a couple other that you can see on the screen as well. What's really important to know is that the Coyote Creek Flood Management Measures project needs to be completed by the time that the Anderson Dam Tunnel is operational. And so here is a project overview, and it shows the various reaches or geographical sections of the creek in the project. And so in the lime green color with the polka dots, you can see that's the extent of the Flood Management Measures project, which includes reaches 5 and portions of 6 and 7. So here's a map of reach 5 and the features. So up at the top, we have the construction staging right here of Quarry Court and Oakland Road. Then we also have flood walls connecting to the existing levee behind the mobile home park, extending all the way to Berryessa, and then from Berryessa to Mayberry. Then we also have a small section on the east bank of the creek off of Notting Hill. And the flood wall heights range from about 6 to 12.5 feet tall in this section. Off Notting Hill, though, it'll range from 2 to 3 feet tall. And then here's a map of reach 6. So we have one flood wall from the Mayberry Road to Highway 101, and that height varies from approximately 4 to 7.5 feet tall. And then we also have another construction staging area at Watson Park, just kind of north of the dog park area. And then here is a map of the reach 7. So we do have a couple of homes that Valley Water has acquired for the project, and they will be demolished off of 17th Street. And then we'll be installing a flood wall around the homes off of 17th and in a roadway. And that'll include protecting some of the homes off of a roadway that Valley Water has also acquired for the project. Then we have another flood wall around the homes off of 16th and William Street, right next to Valley Water's outdoor Coyote Creek classroom. And then the last flood wall is off of 16th and Margaret Street around the homes to the south of William Street Park. And that flood wall ranges from about 4 to 8.5 feet tall. So here are a couple of examples of what the floodwalls will look like once they've been installed. On the picture on your left, you can see it's actually an example that's existing today at Rock Springs Park. And it's actually located in Reach 8 along Coyote Creek. What's important to see here is kind of the zigzag shape of the sheet pile. And then on the right, you see kind of a rendering image of what that sheet pile can look like. And then in some locations where we'll have a concrete facing, they'll have a couple of stamp architectural feature options, which are shown below. And so here is our anticipated schedule. As I kind of mentioned earlier, what's important to know is that the Coyote Creek Flood Management Measures Project is tied to the Anderson Dam Tunnel Project, and it is needs to be completed by the time the tunnel is operational. So we're anticipating construction from June of 2023 until October of 2024. So what can you expect during construction? We're going to have designated safety zones or work zones, and that's for the safety of both the public and the work crews. The contractor will be using large, heavy equipment, cranes and hauling trucks to move equipment, as well as installing the flood walls. Work will be during the week from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. unless we kind of reach out and update otherwise. You can also expect some traffic control moving between the staging areas and floodwall locations along public roadways. So you may see those trucks moving throughout the neighborhoods. Also, you can expect some noise and dust during construction as well. Actually, on the right here, we have a picture of what the equipment will look like that will be installing the floodwalls. So that's the piling equipment. And one of the benefits of this equipment is that it really reduces and minimizes the vibration during the installation period. We'll also have tree and vegetation removal to prep the site so that we can install the flood walls. And then again, project construction duration is going to be from June of 2023 until October of 2024. So neighborhood communications, we will be, Jose and myself will be your main points of contact. I have our contact information on the next slide, but feel free to reach out to us by phone, email, if you have any questions or concerns. We'll also be providing, periodic updates, either in the direct mail, email, if you sign up for email updates on our website, or next door posts. There'll also be project signs throughout, the project location, and they'll have kind of a QR code that you can scan, which will link you straight to our website. And then in early 2024, we'll probably come back to give an update on the kind of second phase of the project, the flood protection project. So again, here is our contact information. You feel free to reach out. I also have a couple business cards on the welcome table as well. And then here is our website. It's valleywater.org/coyote-creek. And then also the Access Valley Water website, where you can submit online any other questions or concerns that you may have. And that kind of concludes my presentation. If anybody has any questions, please let us know.
Thank you, Caitlin. I want to remind our folks who are watching on Zoom to submit your questions in the Q&A feature on the bottom of your screen. There's more than a dozen of you on Zoom, and we want to make sure to be able to respond to your questions. We're happy to answer questions from folks in the room. Should we have any questions?
Caitlin, you mentioned,
You mentioned that this project needs to be built by the time that the tunnel is operational. Why is that?
So the reason that this project needs to be built by the time that Anderson Dam tunnel project is operational, it's because that tunnel is going to allow more water to enter Coyote Creek. And that's why these floodwalls need to be in place to help protect against that increased amount of water that will come out of the Anderson Dam tunnel project.
Great question. Any other questions? And I don't see any coming in on the Zoom feature. Do you have questions?
Yeah. So after the project's done, I know.
So stand up, please, like here.
This is my play here.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So I know prior to this project, some work was done to help homeless people move off of Coyote Court and to get some housing. And now that property is being used for a staging area. I understand it.
Correct.
My question is, after the project's complete and the staging area is removed, how is the city, the water district gonna keep that property free of encampments, living by the creek, doing things that happen, littering and so on and so forth, making maybe not a safe place? Is that what?
Great, yes. So as you mentioned, we are going to be using that area for staging during construction. And that kind of area is owned by the city of San Jose. And so we will kind of end up turning that back over to the city. I think we're kind of still in talks and partnership with the city about, you know, ongoing cleanup during the creeks. We have that I know Director Sanchez is part of our committee,
It has a new name.
It does. Maybe Director Sanchez.
Environmental.
Yes. Thank you. And so that's kind of one of the ongoing questions that we have, and that's where, you know, looking to partner with the city on. And that, did you want to?
This will be used as a staging area. So
If I have just interject, then
you get your microphone.
okay. Thank you. You know, lessons. Thank you for the question, Greg. It's great from the many of our how we thank you for the information. You know, one way of looking at the question is that years ago, when like the city of San Jose owns most of that and so on, Coyote Court. Years ago, we said, why don't we also put the example, have a county help us in different departments and housing and so on, have a little, there'll be a cabin, a little house there to provide information, would be veterans and so on to be available to reduce the amount of people that come in who are seeking social and different issues, especially the mental, the health, and those kind of things. So there's ways of doing things to answer your question. We just all need to get together and have a better plan. But nobody wants to backtrack. And once you clean up things and protect this area from flooding and protect that water, we don't want to see folks come back. But they also need jobs. We're all sensitive to it. Flooding is always going to be an issue. The federal government needs to do more. The state needs to do more. And most of you folks are not my age, and you don't remember back in 1976 when then the governor Reagan closed all the Haven hospitals down. I was here. My calls were 150 a month. They closed those hospitals down. They all came to the creeks and the halfway houses. My calls went to 350 a month. So you pay more in damage control if you address the issue then. So what Ray is saying, we all need to get our caps together, have our meetings, have more input, and try to do a better job of prevention. And I wish I had all the answers, but I'm not afraid to work together and we can. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director. The good news is, I think nearly 30 of the residents have found housing through the programs that the city and the water district has helped as a part of this. And we have about, this will be a staging area for through the end of 2024.
Absolutely.
So we've got some time to figure out what the next step will be. But and you heard from your director, so did that help answer your question? Did you have a follow-up?
Well, there's more from the city. The city has to say, I'm not going to compare great compared.
Hi, my name is Jamie Marcel, and I work for Beautify SCVWD. And you know, just to kind of piggyback from what Caitlin and Director mentioned is that you know, we still have some time to think about it, but I think it's going to be a collaborative effort. And, you know, we're talking already about deterrence. We're learning what works. We're learning what doesn't work. Just in these past few weeks, we've been able to keep the site clear. There's nobody, we don't have construction crews there yet. We have been able to deter people from returning. So it's something that we need to, you know, put our minds together and talk about it. I believe in that area it's on the floodplain, so we are limited to what we can put in that area in terms of, you know, maybe a supportive resource center. I'm not sure if that can happen, but I think we're in the stages where we're talking about deterrence and what we can do in that area after construction is complete. Thanks, Judy.
This has been a very positive, collaborative interaction with the city of San Jose and Valley Water through this process, and so that has been an improvement over things in the past. So it's a very positive sign. We have a question from this gentleman here. Please, Spanish, and they'll translate. Sure.
Yeah, claro que sí. Yeah.
Si estoy entendiendo, ustedes van a arreglar la parte de más cerrada.
If I'm understanding well, you're gonna fix all of the area where the water comes to the back over here.
So we're going to be installing a flood wall that connects to the existing levee behind the park here. And it's going to connect to the existing levee all the way up to Mayberry. And so that's going to help prevent water from going around the levee and into the neighborhood and the commercial businesses up that way.
Yo entiendo que van a remover árboles que tenemos en esa área para construir, van a remover los árboles.
So I'm also understanding that you're gonna remove the surrounding trees as well.
Yes, well, we will be removing some trees and vegetation in order to install a flood wall, but not everything in the creek. Just where you know, it's in conflict with the wall construction area. It will mostly be where you see the lime green color on the map here.
Yeah. Porque a mí me interesa la plantita solar, me interesa. Y entonces iban a remover y quizás las partes, si se pueda replantar para que no se pierda en la área verde que tenemos.
I'm interested in the vegetation and trees. Is there a way possibly you can replant some of the trees there in that area as well to keep it green?
So we will be kind of seeding some grasses after the flood walls are installed, but we won't necessarily be reinstalling a lot of trees next to the flood walls, and that's to help protect the infrastructure to make sure that trees aren't growing too close to it that could potentially cause damage in the future. But yeah, and so the foundations of the flood wall are going to be very deep underground. And so we want to just make sure that we're protecting that. So if we don't, it's kind of important that we don't plant a lot of trees too close to the flood wall as well. We will have some other mitigation plantings in other locations, but not directly next to the flood wall.
Ya, ok, entonces, pero me interesa que se mantuviera verde, aunque no se plante junto a las paredes. Entiendo de que si se planta junto puede afectar las paredes, pero si se puede plantar a una distancia de que no va a afectar las paredes, pues a mí me interesa el ambiente, la área verde.
So I'm understanding that We don't want to damage the walls. I am interested very much in the vegetation, keeping it green, and maybe having trees, maybe planted further away, but at least keep it in that area green.
So we will only be removing trees that are in conflict with the flood wall. So a lot of the trees in the creek, and closer to the water will remain, and they'll be left in place. So there will be some greenery. It's not like we're going to come in and take everything out. There will be some trees in the creek and along the banks after construction, and they will be continuing to grow as long as they don't interfere with the flood wall and its ability to perform its needed purpose.
Very good question.
Can you maybe show him where the mobile home running that holding will in comparison to where the work is going to take place?
Here is where the Golden Wheel Mobile Home Park is, and this is where the work will be down in this location here. We are not putting anything additional in this area. It will remain as is. And then the construction staging area will also be reseeded with grass and then allowed to grow post-construction. It'll be restored with grass in that area.
So yes, that area will be restored. It is the city of San Jose property, so that any kind of replanting or tree planting would be something that the city and the water district would work together to develop a plan for. But as part of the construction, it sounds like there is not a requirement to replant trees.
There's not too many trees in the construction staging area that we would have to remove. So most of those trees would remain, but we would reseed with grass.
For those watching at home, our audience member is getting the translation through headphones, so he is getting our answer. Just in case that didn't seem right watching.
We have some on Zoom.
We have some on Zoom. Sharon, take it away.
Okay, so our first question. I live on South 17th Street, and there is a parcel of 3 homes that have been purchased by the water district. Are they to be demolished?
There are a couple of homes off of 17th Street that will be demolished, 48, 50, and 60 South 17th Street.
Thank you. A follow-up to that is there's also a garage located just north of 5860 South 17th Street. We inquired as to who owned it and what is going to happen to it. Are you familiar with that property and what will happen to it?
Yes, so that garage just to the north of 48 and 50 South 17th Street will also be demolished as part of the project. I think it was actually an encroachment on fire station property, and so we worked in partnership with the city of San Jose for us to allow to have that demolished as well.
Our next question, flood walls are a lot like sound walls and provide shelter and hiding areas for individuals to carry on activities out of sight. What is the district's plan to ensure encampments will not be built on the creek side of these flood walls?
So we will have to be doing, inspections annually, and that will be kind of the enforcement to make sure that if we come across any that they're not in conflict with, the performance of the flood wall, we need to meet.
Next question, do you have any more detailed information available, engineering drawings, fact sheet, etc., on heights of the walls throughout the reaches? If I want to know how high the flood wall will be in a specific area, where can I find that information?
I don't think we have that specifically posted anywhere, but that's, a good follow-up question that you guys could email or give me a call. I think I touched on some of the ranges of heights in the presentation as well. is there a specific flood wall that that person is inquiring about that I could touch on?
Yeah, I think those plans and specifications, they are part of our board approved it on May 16th. So if someone goes to our board meetings and look for May 16th, then they'll be available.
Great. So yeah, that is going to be on the Valley Water website. If you look at the board meetings, it was the May 16th board meeting. If you look at the agenda and the meeting details, you can find that information on the website there.
My next question that I have here on Zoom, the creek along South 17th Street is significantly below street level. Will the walls be built on street level or closer down to the creek itself?
So off of 17th, they will kind of tie into the high ground where the street level is, and then kind of wrap around the houses off of 17th and Arroyo along kind of the top of the bank location behind the homes.
Thank you. And I have another question that just came through. Please address the latest plans for passive barriers in both Watson Park and William Street Park.
Sure, yeah, that is actually going to be part of our second phase of our project, which I briefly touched on, the flood protection project. I think I have a slide. Pull up. We have a board, a couple of boards here. Yeah, that would be great. Okay.
Oh.
Okay, so we will, as part of the flood protection project, be installing what we call passive barriers, which is a type of barrier that, day to day will lie flat, and then as floodwaters rise up and so as you can see in the picture here, it'll lie flat day to day. And then as the floodwaters rise up, the passive barriers then rise up with the water and help contain the flow within the creek channel. So here's a picture with the passive barriers in kind of the activated stage. So that will keep the water within the park. And so these are located around both William Street Park and Selma Olinder Park. And then there will also be a passive barrier to the entrance at Watson Street Park at Jackson Street. And that'll connect to adjacent berm and Floodwall. Yeah, here's kind of a rendering of what that passive barrier would look like at the entrance of Watson Park. This is Jackson Street.
Open.
Yeah, and this is in the down position. So day to day, it can be walked over, driven over, traversed, and wouldn't prohibit access to the parks.
Great question. Any more, Gianna, from the Zoom audience members?
No, not at this time. Thank you.
Yes. How does this work? How does it work? Great question.
So it has kind of a collection system underneath that the water would filter in, and that kind of triggers it to rise up.
Yes, it's mechanical, there's no electronics or anything.
That's where the name passive comes from. So it's kind of it passively activates itself with the water as it rises up. There's a couple of videos online. You just go past the barriers as well.
Any other questions in the room or on Zoom? This is your chance.
Mike, I just would say, since we're on Reach 7, there's quite a few questions about the height of the walls for Reach 7. Maybe you can just recap what the average height will be in the 3 different areas for folks listening on Zoom. And then secondly, you mentioned the May 16th board memo. I will link that to the project webpage so that it's much easier people are fine, kind of going into the agenda section of our website can be a little difficult. So I'll link that. It'll be active by tomorrow.
Great, thanks, Jose. Yeah, let me just refresh. So again, in Reach 7, the flood wall around the homes off of 17th and Arroyo, it kind of ranges, you know, it does tie into the high ground at the street level, but it can get as high as 13 feet. And then for the flood wall around the homes off of 16th and William Street by the outdoor Coyote Creek classroom, that also will tie into the high ground. And then we'll have a maximum height as well as 13 feet. It does kind of vary though, as you're moving along the wall. And then the last flood wall off of 16th and Margaret to the south of William Street Park, that's going to range from about 4 to 8.5 feet. Also kind of tying into the high ground next to the street level.
Caitlin, that's the height of the wall above the ground.
Above ground, yes.
Below ground will also be like 8 feet deep.
Yeah, and then it'll be significantly deeper underground as well. And that depth varies along the length of the flood wall.
So we have a question on Zoom.
We do. Can you provide an update on Reach 6 construction schedule?
So let me just go back to the construction schedule. But so for Reach 6, was part of the flood management measures project, which is going to be in construction from June 2023 to October 2024, is the flood wall from Mayberry Road to Highway 101. And we'll also be using that construction staging area at Watson Park. And then the rest of the features are part of the flood protection project, which we're anticipating construction starting sometime in 2025.
Any other Zoom questions, Gianna?
We do have Mr. John Davis with his hand raised. So we're gonna, John, unmute you and you can speak, please, or ask me a question.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I live on 710 Margaret Street. I have about, I don't know, 100 yards of creek on my property. And my question to you, this is very important, by the way. I think it's really, those things that raise up that block the water are like, God, those are incredible. But you know, the homeless or unhoused, whatever you want to call them, have devastated the banks of the creek, particularly on the side of the San Jose, which would be the east side of Coyote Creek from 280 all the way down to William Street Park. Is there going to be anything done about the platforms and the destruction that they've done, they being the homeless, over the last almost 10 years? And if you do something, will it be permanent?
Yeah, so the features that are part of the flood protection project would be the passive barriers around the Selma Olinder Park. And I don't think we have anything heading south up there to Highway 280 in that location.
I don't think there are any flood features in that location. Are there any plans for us to do creek enhancements or restoration as a part of this flood control project?
Not in that location.
So can I ask another question?
Of course.
So that's interesting. There's not gonna, if you don't have any plans for that, and that I know, you know, I've been working with the water district for years, and Mr. Santos and I. So the flood correction or whatever that you're doing is great, but you also, all the platforms and all the destruction of the banks that has been done is also has to be mitigated, because you're going to run into problems with floods with the way these banks have been destroyed, and that all the vegetation that has been taken down and destroyed by these people is got to be looked after. I mean, you just can't walk away and not take care and deal with what I know the water district has talked about with the embankment destruction.
Yeah, I think we kind of touched on some of this earlier, and about our environmental cleanup committee. Is that's kind of one of the goals of that committee, and moving forward, working with the city in partnership as well as the county on how to address the issue.
This meeting's focused on the first order flood control work. There's a second phase of work that is coming, and that's all
the flood protection project.
And that also has got more of an environmental review process associated with it. Is that right?
Yes, and so we'll have, if that project will have its own environmental permitting and CEQA documentation associated with it as well.
This one, because it's an emergency project, has to happen before the Anderson Tunnel is complete and operational. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah.
Is that all? Question for you guys?
Well, I don't know if it answers my question, but I think the main thing is that if we can keep it, the vegetation will grow back. If we keep the homeless off our embankments, they'll grow back because that's what nature does. But what my concern is number one, the platforms that have hurt the flow of the creek, but also the keeping the folks off the creek and doing what the destruction going forward. So anyway, I don't know if that there's an answer there or not.
We got a country question in the record, and that's something for staff to be able to address. And this might be a good point to mention that we'll be having a second meeting at the in-person and on Zoom on June 16th at the Roosevelt Community Center from 6 to 7:30 just next week. So if you think of other questions, you can participate in that meeting as well, or you can email Caitlin or Jose, and their contact information is part of the presentation as well. June 14th, June 14th, June 16th, June 14th.
Also, just wanted to add, Mike, that the PowerPoint presentation that folks are looking at here, as well as the agenda and all the meeting materials, as well as the boards for reaches 5, 6, 7, are on the website. So if you go there now, you can download the presentation as a contact info and all the other information that Caitlin's been sharing as well.
Any other questions, Gianna? Another question on Zoom? All right.
Yeah. So the next, I have 2 more as of right now. So the first one is the 13-foot flood wall on 17 south of Arroyo from the base of the street up, or 13 feet where the creek is now?
13 feet from where the creek is now. So the high ground at the street level is kind of where the top of the wall will be if you're looking from the street view towards the creek. But once you kind of were to walk down and into one of the backyards there along the flood wall, it would be 13 feet high if you were standing next to it.
Thank you. My next question. So there will be approximately a 6-month gap between CCFPP work and CCFMNP work. Can you elaborate on that, please? I'm hoping Caitlin can help me with those acronyms.
The CCFP is the Coyote Creek Flood Management Measures Project.
So yeah, so the duration of construction is we're anticipating for the Flood Management Measures Project is from June 2023 until October 2024. And then we've adjusted the schedule for the Flood Protection Project to start, we're anticipating construction to start in 2025. You can see it with this graphic on screen.
Thank you.
Okay.
Great. Any other questions in the room? I think we've got our Zoom questions answered for now. Again, this is our first of 2 meetings. The second one is on June 14th at the Roosevelt Community Center from 6 to 7:30. We also ask that attendees fill out a survey card so that they can help us make these meetings even better. We really want to thank our Zoom audience. And if you have questions, you can contact Caitlin, and her email and contact information are up here on the screen, or Jose Villarreal with the Valley Water team. And this presentation, the other information will be posted on the other on the project page. And I also wanted to make sure to mention that Daniela Velasquez from Councilmember Omar Torres' office has been here at this meeting and participating as well. And with that, I think we will see you at our next meeting. Thank you.